down one night, just like the Berlin Wall.
Wow.
And that's what's happening. I mean, this man in there now is beyond the pale. And
You have a relationship
I
with
know
that
him
man.
well. I know him too well. But the point is that what we've been thinking of as church, what we've been thinking of religion, is melting right before our eyes. And listen to the young people; they're not into it. They don't. It's not their mindset. It's Piscean language. And remember, Christianity was born at the age of Pisces, inheriting the end of the age of the ram from Judaism. And that's why the early symbols of the church were not the cross. You know, the cross became a symbol in the 4th century when the church inherited the empire. Until then, the main symbols of Christianity were the fish, Pisces. I will make you fishers of men. And the shepherd. Those are the images on the walls of the catacombs for 3 centuries, not the cross. So, there's going to be tremendous shift. And of course, I mean, Paul Tillich in 1948 wrote a brilliant article on the end of Protestantism. That was 60 years ago. Well, now we're seeing the end of Catholicism as we know it. So it is a time for reinventing our expressions and do so in much simpler fashion of how we remember the message and the person of Jesus and how we experience the Christ. And it's really very exciting. Like a recent book on Paul by John Dominic Crossan, a very renowned scholar, business scholar. He says in there, is it true that Paul says you cannot be a Christian without being a mystic? In one word, yes. Well, that one word puts out of business 99% of Christian seminaries of all denominations in the world, because I know very few that are teaching supposed leaders how to be mystics. They don't know how to.
Define mystic.
A mystic is one who tastes the union of the divine, and everything flows from that. So the prophet is the mystic in action, as William Hawkins says. So it's a unitive experience.
Didn't you tell me about an experience of these young people going into these churches in England, but instead of sitting up in the pews, they were lying down in the pews?
No, they were dancing.
Oh, okay. and then they got kicked out because they weren't doing it right.
There were too many of them. No, because there were too many youth. That was what they were told. There were too many young people. Just they kicked them out. They found their own place. And then, but I took their form of worship, which is really bringing rave into liturgy, and I've been doing that for 10 years in Oakland, and now teaching others to do it. But bringing the body back, and bringing celebration and joy back, and bringing dancing back, and getting rid of the books. You see, books. The modern age was launched on the invention of the printing press, and so it's very text-oriented. So you go to most Christian churches, it's all about are you on the right page, right page? You got to be literate to pray. That's weird, because 35% of Americans aren't literate. But the postmodern age is about context, not text. And that's why you're talking about cosmology is so important. And that's the shift. And we have this new language to create context, such as VJs, video jockeys who create through computers the images that you can dance to and that are pure meditation that you bring into your soul as you dance and pray. And that's what we've been doing with our Cosmic Masses. And there's no question that there's a form there that is really powerful. And it unites generations. The young come and the old come. And we're all dying to get out of benches and cease being preached at. And become our own priest, the midwife of grace, by dancing your prayer and dancing your meditations. So that's what we do.
Okay, Chuck, you saw your hand up, and then I saw a hand here, and then I see a hand here.
Well, I wanted to add to that conversation. The next book that I'm going to recommend to Sharif is called The Third Millennium. And it talks about our transformation, and it points to the reality of our current situation where we have such a focus on intellectualization. We're so much animals of our thinking right now, and that The opportunity is for something so much more powerful than that. It's an inspirational, heartfelt energy, and that we are currently having our being at multiple levels, and at the highest of our levels, or at least at higher levels of our being, there's a lot that's going on that if you try to slow it all down to what we can comprehend intellectually, that can be done and you could understand it, but you couldn't allow it to do what it's capable of doing at that level of function.
Cool.
In order to ever get close to what we're really capable of being, we've got to be willing to let go of that. And to find our heart center and allow in faith our opportunity to raise to a much higher level of function, where inspiration becomes essentially important.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
Look, do you have a?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so here I saw it, then here, and then going back this way, here, and then here. Go ahead.
So, back before Chuck so eloquently talked about the Third Millennium book,